everyone. I'm Jenny White. I'm a retired registered nurse, brain tumor surgery survivor and warrior, a keynote speaker, and an author of medical thrillers. I want to take you on a short journey. It's my journey. Can you imagine waking up one day and realizing that you don't know who you are or where you are or who your spouse is or your children? One day it happened to me. I discovered one day when I wasn't feeling well and went and got checked that I had a brain tumor and it was wrapped around an artery and it was going to kill me. I really didn't have a choice as to what to do about it. Surgery was the only option. And I did have surgery. The bad part was that I had a coma. And when I woke up from my coma, I was tied to the bed. Now, the nurse in me knew that that was a problem. I'd been a very bad patient, and when I was coming out of my coma, apparently I became quite aggressive and combative. I soon realized I couldn't speak. I was just making sound because the staff were telling me that they couldn't understand me. They tried to tell me not to panic, but it was pretty hard not to panic. I also realized there was a man standing at the end of my bed, and the problem was I had no idea who it was. Well, it turned out it was my husband of 20 years, and I had no memory of him. In fact, one of the things that was a profound discovery was that most of my memories were gone, and I had no idea who I was or where I was. The odd thing about waking up was that I realized I was a nurse. I don't know why that stayed in my mind, but the rest of it was gone. So I wasn't shocked when I woke up in an ICU. The sounds were familiar, the noises, the equipment, the alarms. It was almost like it was my home. But my journey was just beginning. When the staff tried to get me up to walk to my room after I was now awake from my coma, I couldn't walk. And I was literally dragged across the hall into my new new home, which was a two-bed room looking out onto a beautiful forest. I have to tell you that I knew that I was grateful that I was alive because it was quite possible that I could have died on the operating table. And before surgery, I had gone through all the motions of writing my obituary and talking to my family and putting in place the things that I wanted should the worst happen. But I realized I was alive and I was very grateful for that. I also realized as I was lying in bed that with my memories gone, instead of really grieving the fact that my memories were gone, I kind of looked forward to what was next. And as odd as that sounds, because I was alive, I wasn't worried about the fact that I'd lost my memories. It was like another door had been opened and I was able to go forward and do whatever it is that I wanted to do. So, one of the first things that I did was I allowed myself to dream. And I remember thinking to myself, okay, well, if I was a kid of, say, about 5, what would I be doing right now? And it brought me comfort because I thought to myself, well, a little kid would be creating imaginary friends, creating adventures in their mind, thinking about possibilities for the future. And so I gave myself permission to do that dreaming. Now, that dreaming kind of helped me out because as I was doing my therapy and having to relearn how to do simple things like learn how to brush my teeth again, I looked forward to what was possible. Now, I had lots of physiotherapy and was able to get back walking again. And today I'm fine in terms of walking. My speech was a problem. It took longer to get back, and I really had to work at it. And I had a speech therapist working with me all the time. One of the things the speech therapist said to me is, why don't you try writing the words down? And I knew my brain was working. So what I did was I thought of the word that I wanted. I picked up a pen and I wrote the word, and it was right. It was spelled correctly and it looked right. And people responded to that word like hungry, tired, um, angry, frustrated. And that gave me an avenue to be able to start to communicate with people again, which was a blessing because let me tell you, losing your speech and your ability to communicate is not only frightening, but it's frustrating on an epic level. So as I was lying in bed with my little dog beside me at home, I remember thinking, okay, let's go back to that 5-year-old me and let's create some adventures. And so, with my dog beside me, I thought, well, a 5-year-old would love to have a dog. So let's go on adventures together. And I started creating stories in my mind, kid stories, because they were simple, they were memorable, they helped trigger some memories. And as my stamina got better, I was able to write them down. I started writing kids' books, not really expecting to do anything with them, but it gave me a sense of accomplishment and it helped me to heal. So, as I was going through my journey of learning to speak and walk again, I knew I had to reinvent myself. And through dreaming, I was able to kind of come up with some ideas, one of which was to become a writer. And so I knew I didn't know how to be a fiction writer. And I knew that I had a medical background behind me. So I went online and I started looking for some courses to help me master the craft of writing. And I worked around my rehab schedule and my exhaustion, and I was able to do some self paced courses, which helped rewire my brain by challenging it to come up with stories. And that's how my life as a medical thriller author started. Now, it's only been 2.5 years since I had my surgery, and I still have some challenges. I have days where I'm still very tired. I have days where I mix up my words. And there are days when I just want to curl up in a ball and hide. And I've given myself permission for self care, which is something new for me. And it's really helped a lot because I've come to realize that unless you care for yourself, you can't help anybody else. So let me share with you some thoughts about what helped me get through this mess. One thing I practice every day is gratitude. You know, every day you're alive, you have the ability to do something new. Let's face it, not everybody woke up today. And when you have life, you have possibilities. One thing I learned was that circumstances or situations are temporary. Yeah, I couldn't walk for a bit, but I got it back. Yes, I couldn't speak for a bit, but I worked at it and I got it back. So focus and vision were really important for me. Every day I had to get up out of bed and try walking. Every day I had to try and push for a few more words or a better, insightful discussion with somebody. Another thing that I learned is that my body was just a package. Yeah, I had a brain tumor. Yeah, it had to get fixed. And so I went in, got it fixed, but it was my spirit and the essence of who I was that was kind of reborn. So this clean slate was really looked at as a new opportunity. And I want people to realize that even if you're stuck, even if you're struggling, you can find a way to improve or change, and that the power that you have is more than you think you have. You are part of the universe. You were created by the universe, and you, in partnership with the universe, can do anything. Look, I went from being in a coma to being an author, a published author, within 2 years. I spent time learning new skills. I challenged myself. I focused and I dreamt. I dreamt about what I wanted to be. And I kind of look at myself as being the 5-year old starting over. So, one thing that I want to share with you is hope. If you think that you are stuck or you can't do something, please, I ask you to challenge yourself. Have a plan, create a plan, and do things in small pieces like baby steps. Things don't happen overnight, and you do have to have a clear picture in your mind of what you want to do. You have to find a way to get there. And it takes time, it takes perseverance, it takes dedication and focus. I've had some challenges along the way, and some of the challenges have been from my own family. Things like, why would you want to try writing? Why would you want to do that? You know, there are so many ideas and paradigms and ideas that society puts on us. I'm over 60 now. I'm retired and I'm starting over. And I'm grateful that I'm starting over. A lot of people, when they're 60, start winding down, start slowing down, stop trying to learn new things, stop challenging themselves. And I say to you, I think we as a society need to change what we think people should or shouldn't be doing. I think all people should dream. I think all people should try new things. I think all people have the ability to go way beyond their comfort zone and be successful. It's up to you. When you change your mindset and you get rid of negativity and you get rid of people saying things to you like you're not smart enough, you're not good enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not smart enough, ignore them. This is all about you. You take control of your own existence. I want you to think about embracing possibilities. You know, someone once said to me, what would happen if you could imagine that it could happen or that you thought it might be easier than you thought to make this happen? And it made me stop and think. And because I had an open mind and because I was willing to go beyond my comfort zone and because I was willing to embrace change and work around some of the challenges that I had, I made it to being a published author 2 years after a brain tumor surgery that put me in a coma. You know, things don't happen magically. They do happen with persistence and a strong will to never give up. And I would suggest to you that if you want to change, take the time to clearly get a picture of it in your mind and revisit that every single day. Practice gratitude, practice forgiveness, align with your spiritual power, embrace non traditional things, and perhaps you will find yourself living a life that you never imagined. The bottom line is this: you can do anything you want to do, anything you put your mind to. It's your life. Make it a great one. I should just mention as well that I have a website and my books are available online, www.jennywhite.ca. And my book, The Triggering Scent, is my debut novel, the first in a series of 3. I encourage you to read it and enjoy.